In today's video, we're going to make a fun fold flip card. Hi, I'm Stacy from Stacy Graves Crafts. My hope is to inspire you to create. Hi guys, I'm so excited to be here today on the Not Too Shabby channel. We're going to go over some of the products. This Paper Pad Club for January, Squeeze the Day in Lavender Lane. And then we have the Squeeze the Day Ephemera Pack. I use these on the cards that we're going to make today. And then I use some sentiments from the stamp of the month for January called Lemon Love and Lavender Hugs. And if you want to see the images colored, I have that on my channel. I'm using an 8.5 by 11 paper. I'm cutting it in half, so we're going to have 5.5 by 8.5. We'll end up with two pieces. It's an A2 size card that we're making. And then I'll go ahead and score it at 4 1/4. Trying to make sure it's in frame. And I'm going to go ahead and fold it in half. And this is paper that I know is off-cut, so you don't have to score it if you don't want to. You can do the next score. Or, I mean, you don't have to fold it if you don't want to. You can do the next score, but I'm cutting off that overhang because it's not quite even. It's like 1/8 of an inch off or something like that on all the paper pad, the entire paper pad. So I knew that was coming. And I didn't score it on the other line because I wanted to make sure I scored the proper side, not the long side, right? If that made sense. Then we're going to score it at 2 1/8. So we're going to take that 4 1/4 and split it in half. And then I'm going to bring in a circle die. And I'm trying to center it for the most part. If it's off a little bit, you're okay. Don't worry about it. It'll still work. You can even put it off to one side a little bit more if you want to, or a little bit up or down. We're going to do some partial die cutting. So I'm going to bring in the platform of my die cutting machine, open up my card because I only want to cut through one layer. And then we're going to take that top cutting plate and line it up with the score line, and we're going to run it through. That way it only cuts through the portion where that plate is. Then where that score mark is, we're going to go ahead and fold it over and use our bone folder to smooth it out. And that becomes our armature for the moving part of our card. See, it swings open. Pretty cool, huh? So simple. Now I took this paper here, and it originally was cut down to an A2 size card, 4 1/4 by 5.5, and I cut that in half at the 4 1/4 side to 2/8 of an inch. So it'll be 2/8 of an inch by 5.5. Now I'm going to show you how I took that pattern paper and cut the notch out so it would nest on the side of the circle there. Once I cut that paper in half, I nestled it up to the score line. It'll just fit right in there. I'm taking my die, placing it over the circle, taping it down, pulling that out, and I'll run it through my machine. And then you get the little notch. And then we're going to glue all the pieces to the different parts of the card. So what I tried to do when picking out my paper from the pattern paper, it's odd that I picked this project to share on the Not Too Shabby channel because what I do for the most part is color, and I struggle with pattern paper. And I am always in envy of everyone who can use pattern paper and incorporate it. And so I challenged myself to do that. Besides, these are great products, and I wanted to use more than one pattern. So typically if I put pattern paper into my cards, I only go with one, sometimes two. So I picked some what I consider neutrals in the paper pads, right? So they're small print. They're not there's not too many images going on or different images. So like the polka dots there, to me that's a neutral, and it has a lot of white space because there's small polka dots. And then I wanted to take that lemon paper and I'll use that as like my bold print, right? I don't consider that one so much a neutral. And then when I come in with my next piece of paper, it's going to cover up most of that because I wanted to incorporate another pattern paper in there. And then I bring in this gingham, which I consider another neutral pattern paper. By adding that over the lemon pattern paper, it allows the lemon pattern paper to be present, but not take the focus away from the other elements of my card. Now I'm going to carry the gingham to the front of the card as well, but I'm going to do it in yellow. So it brings the yellow from the lemon pattern paper to the front of the card. It incorporates the gingham from the inside to the outside, and I feel like it gives a balanced look. And then what I'm doing here is we're going to go ahead and lay out our elements. So I'm using some of the ephemera from Squeeze the Day. And you're going to see me struggle with this sentiment because I wanted to make sure it was going to fit on that circle with the image I chose. And I had done it prior to going on camera, but as soon as the camera comes on, everything goes wrong. And it did in this card multiple times. Have you guys ever had that happen to you? Yeah, I couldn't believe how many hiccups I had, and then I picked it up with the Misty, and then I'm just using the grid lines to make sure it's straight and level. And I'm still fussing with it. I'm telling you, I was like, so many little things. I think I was just off when I created this card, maybe. Or maybe nervous, because it's my first time here on the Not Too Shabby channel. So hopefully I'm doing an okay job for you guys. And that mouse I'm tucking under the circle, that's fine. Don't glue it on top of that flap that's folded over, because if you do that, it won't open. So it's okay to tuck it behind it because you're not going to see it. It's not going to impede the armature of the card. So see how that tail tucks under the curve of the circle there? That's okay. Just make sure that you don't glue it on top because it won't, because it's attached to that circle is going to move. It'll want to fold it. So it'll impede the movement. And I wanted her to like nestled, that sentiment nestled in between the feet and the basket. And then I'll make sure it works here. And then here's a sentiment from the ephemera pack. So we used When Life Gives You Lemons, ... on the front, and then we used Squeeze the Day from the ephemera pack. And you can attach your images on the inside, hanging outside the circle just like you did on the front of the card. Just make sure that it's close to the fold and not hanging off the other side where the circle will be moving. Next, I'm going to be bringing in a circle die cut that I cut an extra of. And I'm placing it nestled right behind that circle that's on the front of the card. And then I'm going to take the back of the card, close it, which is going to pick it up. And what it'll do is actually give me a spot to write my greeting in without it being seen from the front of the card. Now this is showing where I didn't quite line up the circle on the front of the card in the center. So the circle on the inside of the card is off to the side a bit. In order to make it look like it was centered, I brought in some ephemera from the ephemera pack. And then I created this card off camera as well with the Lavender Love paper pad. And I fussy cut the cut aparts inside that pad. That's where those images came from. And the stamp set from Thanks a Bunch, I curved and stamped it out. What do you think of these? These were fun. Seems like when the camera came on, everything went wrong, but they were really fun. And I think that any recipient that receives a little bit of an interactive card or a fun fold card just makes it a little more interesting. Thanks guys for having me, and I'll see you next time. Bye.